Okay, folks. Well, I hope that you had a chance to really take in the formulas and cell references video because that is a concept that's so important for Google Sheets. And it's the thing that I really hope that you come out of here understanding because that's what leads you to be able to use Sheets really effectively and make documents and spreadsheets that will help you become more efficient. Um, so, we're going to take our employee hours spreadsheet and improve it and complete it a little bit more so that we can have something that maybe works toward figuring out what we need to pay our employees. So, first thing that we're going to do is I need to know what I'm going to actually pay these folks for the week. So I don't have a column for that yet. I have salary, but I think we're going to use that for an hourly wage. So I'm going to go ahead and right up here, I'm going to insert another column to the right. And that column, I'm going to stretch out just a little bit, and we're going to call that weekly pay. I don't like this. I want to make sure fits properly. So I'm going to select those two and again merge those cells so that they become a single one and this centers properly. And we're good to go there. I also don't like that I don't have my borders here. So I'm going to select the whole thing again, all the way up here, and make sure that I add my borders. And I feel a lot better about that. So um, let's go ahead first, and I want to make sure that you get some understanding of this before we do anything else. Um, I'm going to go ahead and click into this cell, this I3, and I'm going to hit the equal sign. And like we talked about earlier, when I hit that equal sign, it says, oh, you're going to do some math or you're going to do a formula. And sure enough, the beauty of Sheets is that it actually looks and goes, what could they be thinking about doing? And it's so smart that it looks at my sheet right now or my spreadsheet and it goes, I'll bet they want to add up all the numbers over there to the left. And sure enough, that's what I want to do. I want to know how many hours they have. So I can right now hit enter and it would total those up properly. But I want to show you what another method would be for doing that. Some folks would say, oh, well, I just need to add up this number and this number and this number and this number, and I'll have the total. But that's not the case. We really need to make sure we add even these empty cells because what happens next week when Messi works on the 11th and the 13th and the 15th and the 16th? So we want to make sure we anticipate what's going to happen in the future. And that's why what it says right here is actually a great answer to our problem. Instead of B3 plus C3 plus D3, it gives us the option of just adding them all up at once. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the enter key, and sure enough, here are my total hours. Now, I kind of want that to be bold. I think that's important that we be able to see that and have it really show up. And I also want to take care of that, and I want to do it quickly. Now, I could come in here and again do equals and do the same thing with sum or plus, adding them all together. But we talked earlier about how smart this fill handle is. And I want to make sure that I show you that how the things that it can achieve. So right now this says the sum of B3 through H3. I'm going to take that fill handle and I'm going to drag it down. In fact, I'm even going to go down here so it'll do the total of the totals. And what I see is it seems to be adding up the numbers to the left of it properly. Well, that's because the fill handle is so smart that when you drag it down, it actually changes the row for which it is adding. And that is a super handy function. There's a small number of times when that can be a problem when you have something that's a static that stays in one place. But really, the functionality of this is really cool. So I have got all of my total hours added up because I used the sum function. And again, remember that sum function can be found under here as well. So I'm going to choose to do this one as well. And I think I'll go and choose sum right here. And then it's saying, well, what do you want to add up? Well, I'm going to add up these cells right here so I can see how many hours people worked at that time. So I have selected all the cells I want to add, of course, making sure even the empty ones, because I want this to work for every week. And I'll hit enter, and I've got what I was looking for. And again, that fill handle is super helpful. I can take the fill handle and drag across this way, and it figures out everything that I need to see for each one of these columns. And again, it changes D, E, F as it goes across. The fill handle is super smart. Now, finally, I need to put in some salaries and then find out what I'm going to owe these folks for the week. So I'm going to go in here and I will do, I think I'm going to do $15 an hour for each person. If you recall, we already changed these all to be formatted as money. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. And again, I think I'm just going to use $15 an hour for each person. We'll move it down even so that has the 15 in the bottom one as well. But now I need to figure out what's the weekly pay for each one of those employees. Well, I can figure that out by going to the salary times the total number of hours. So to do that, I'll use the equal sign, and it is very smart, but it's not this smart. So it looks up and it says, hey, do you want to add those up? No, I don't really want to do that. I would like to do the total hours, click, times, remember the asterisk is our times, multiplication, cell J3. So I clicked on those two and I hit enter, and now I have $472. And look at what Sheets is doing now. It actually saw what I did right there, and it said, hey, I've got a suggestion for you here. Do you want me to fill all these with what you just did? It's pretty amazing how quickly it can figure out what you were thinking about doing. So I could either use the fill handle to drag that down, it would do the same thing, or I can use its suggested autofill, and I'm going to do that by clicking on the check mark. Now I still have some stuff I'd like to do for formatting. I think probably this over here would look good in maybe a red or a blue. We'll stick with our red. That shows up really nicely. So I've got all the information that I could possibly want. How many hours per day? How much is the total number of hours? What's the salary that I'm paying everyone? How much am I going to pay out for the month? I've got all that set to go. And the beauty of this is that I could take for next week and I can just delete all these hours and put them in as we go, and it'll add them up, no problem. All this data can change and we'll be right back ready to roll. So if I delete all this, everything goes to zero because there's nothing to add up. There's nothing to multiply anymore. I'll undo that though, because we want to have this document work out exactly like we're looking at, and I want to be able to click on yours. And again, here's the big key. When I click on your document, when I click in your spreadsheet, if it's a number like this that it has to figure out, I'm looking for cell references right here. I am not looking for numbers. This should not be equals 24 times 15. If it is, it defeats the whole purpose of using this spreadsheet. It doesn't have any use if that's how you're figuring things out. You have to use cell references to really get use out of sheets. Okay, so I'm going to turn you loose to get started on building this out the rest of the way, and we'll be talking a little bit more in a future one, and then we're going to work on a final project that'll be more related to education and a classroom and grades. So go ahead and get rolling on your stuff.